You step beyond the last familiar ridge. Behind you, the valley is gone. Ahead, every hill looks the same. There is no road, no compass, and no blue dot glowing in your hand. Yet you are not lost. For most of human history, finding your way did not mean reading a map. It meant reading the world itself. The sun, the stars, the wind, the shape of a mountain, the flight of a bird, and even the feel of the ground beneath your feet could become part of a living navigation system. How could your ancestors cross deserts, forests, mountains, and open water without modern instruments? The first answer is simple. They did not travel through empty space. A landscape that looks blank to you can be crowded with information. A bent tree may mark a water source. A pale band of stone may point toward a pass. Moss, animal trails, river bends, smoke, clouds, and seasonal plants can reveal direction and distance. Your ancestors learned these signs because forgetting them could kill you. A wrong turn was not an inconvenience. It could mean missing the only spring before sunset. It could mean walking into a predator's territory, reaching a frozen pass too late, or leading children toward land with nothing to eat. So navigation began with attention. You would not memorize a landscape as a flat picture. You would remember it as a chain of actions. Walk until the dark cliff appears. Follow the river against its flow. Turn where two ridges overlap. Stop when the ground changes from red to gray. Each instruction connects one visible clue to the next. Modern researchers sometimes call this route knowledge. That simply means knowing a journey as a sequence of landmarks rather than seeing the entire region from above. You may use the same system today when you remember a route by the bakery, the bridge, and the large tree instead of street names. But your ancestors added something far more powerful. They turned routes into stories. Across Aboriginal Australian cultures, long paths through the land have been preserved through stories, ceremonies, and songs often described in English as songlines. These are not merely songs about scenery. They can connect water holes, rock formations, food sources, sacred places, and neighboring communities across enormous distances. Researchers Ray Norris and Bill Yadumdu Maharney have described how some songlines function as oral maps. A verse can preserve the order of landmarks. Rhythm makes the sequence easier to remember. A story gives each place meaning. Why memorize a dry list when you can remember a journey? Imagine walking through a hot interior landscape. An elder sings a section associated with a hill shaped like a sleeping animal. The next section describes a water hole hidden beyond a stone rise. The song does not float above the land. It attaches memory directly to it. When the hill appears, the next verse becomes the next direction. The map is not carried in your hands. It is carried in your voice. This also solves another problem. Knowledge must survive longer than one traveler. A route known only by a single skilled hunter disappears when that hunter dies. A route embedded in repeated stories, ceremonies, and group memory can survive for generations. Children learn it before they need to travel alone. Adults correct one another. The community becomes the storage system. Your ancestors did not need paper to preserve geography. They needed repetition. Land navigation was only part of the story. Long before metal compasses, people also crossed water. Archaeological evidence shows that humans reached places requiring sea travel astonishingly early. At Madjedbebe in northern Australia, excavations led by Chris Clarkson and colleagues produced evidence of human occupation dating to about 65,000 years ago. Reaching the ancient continent of Sahul, which joined Australia and New Guinea when sea levels were lower, still required crossing stretches of open water. That journey could not be completed by simply following a coastline forever. Even earlier, stone tools and remains on the Indonesian island of Flores show that ancient humans reached islands separated by deep water channels. The exact methods are unknown. No prehistoric sail or navigation lesson survived. But the crossing itself reveals planning, movement, and some ability to keep a direction when land was distant or invisible. What would you use when the shoreline vanished? The sky becomes a compass. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west, but not at exactly the same point every day. A skilled traveler learns the seasonal pattern. Shadows reveal the sun's movement. At night, familiar stars rise and set at dependable places along the horizon. The sky is not a random scatter of lights. It is a rotating structure. Anthropologist Thomas Gladwin documented traditional navigation on Pulyawat Atoll in Micronesia in his book East is a Big Bird. Navigators organize stars into directional paths. A canoe could be held on a course by steering toward the rising or setting point of a particular star, then switching to another as the sky turned. That does not mean staring at one star for an entire voyage. It means knowing a sequence. Cognitive scientist Edwin Hutchins later studied how navigational knowledge was distributed across people, tools, spoken instructions, and shared practice. His work showed that navigation is not always a calculation performed inside one isolated mind. It can be a coordinated system involving a crew, remembered star positions, wave patterns, and repeated checks. Your ancestors may not have expressed direction in degrees. They did not need to. A direction could be the place where a certain star rises. Distance could be measured by nights traveled, changes in ocean swell, or the expected position of a reference island. Clouds could reveal land beyond the horizon because islands push moist air upward. Birds could suggest when land was near, especially species that return to roost. The ocean itself also carries lines. Waves produced by distant winds can travel in regular swells. An experienced navigator can feel their angle through the motion of a canoe. When one swell changes, bends, or reflects from an island, that pattern can signal nearby land. To you, the boat is rocking. To the navigator, the ocean is speaking. Now reconstruct a journey. You leave before sunrise with several others. The departure point is chosen carefully. A star sits low over the dark horizon. The canoe is aimed toward it. Behind you, the island slowly disappears. When daylight comes, the rising sun confirms the course. A steady swell strikes one side of the canoe. Birds pass overhead. The crew watches their direction but does not blindly follow them. By afternoon, clouds begin gathering in one fixed area. Someone notices a faint change in the water. Another person remembers that the target island should interrupt the swell from this angle. No single clue proves that land is ahead. Together, the clues form a pattern. Then a dark line appears. The island was invisible, but it was never truly absent. This is the counterintuitive part. Ancient navigation was not primitive because it lacked maps. In many environments, it was more detailed than a portable map could be. A paper map separates knowledge from the traveler. It shows a fixed world from above. Traditional wayfinding often joins the traveler to a changing world at ground level. It includes when flowers bloom, where animals move after rain, which wind arrives before a storm, and which water source fails during a dry season. The route changes with time. That kind of knowledge cannot always be reduced to a line on a page. Modern navigation gives you astonishing reach. A satellite can place you within meters. A phone can calculate a route through a city you have never seen. But convenience creates a strange weakness. You can arrive without learning where you are. Follow the blue line. Turn when the voice speaks. Look down instead of around. When the battery dies, the world suddenly becomes silent because you never practiced reading it. Your ancestors experienced the opposite. They carried no device. Yet every journey filled the mind with structure. A ridge had a name. A star had a direction. A story contained a spring. Memory was not an extra skill added to navigation. Memory was the map. That does not make the past magical. People became lost. Voyages failed. Storms erased every clue. Navigation knowledge required years of teaching, correction, and experience. But it worked well enough for humans to spread across nearly every kind of environment on Earth. Through grasslands, across deserts, over mountain passes, into dense forests, between islands separated by open sea. Your ancestors did not conquer distance by knowing less than you. They survived by noticing more. So the next time you step beyond the last familiar ridge, the world may still look empty. But the path is there in the sun, the wind, the water, the stars, and the stories attached to the land. You are not lost. You have simply forgotten how to read.